Hello again. In this video, I'm going to talk about finding your voice. If you want to be original and if you want to be someone who not copying other people, if you want to copyright or if you want to be shadow writer, some people write and somebody else write their name and they publish it. They pay. It's called shadow writing. So someone whose name is in the book, but somebody else wrote that book because somebody who has a name paid that person to write for himself. Right? So if you don't want to be shadow, if you don't want to be copy someone else, so it's better to find your voice. In order to find your voice and be original, it's using techniques and knowing your styles. Other than we have different kind of writing, you have to explore which kind of writing do you want to write, but you have to find your style as well. If you ask a stand-up comedian who is doing different things every show, and some of them may joke about under the waist all the time. Some of them they joke about rationalist. Now, I know a lot of people from every group. He or she may joke about the typical Persian. Somebody go on the stage and he saying, "This is the Persian typical girl," or something like that. Or they joke about under the waist. Or I know somebody in Germany, she talk about the racist on Germany or racist, they whatever they call it. So you have to find your style. If somebody asks you why don't you write in such a way, such, so you can say it's not my style. You have to find your style. You have to be comfortable with what you say. You have to be comfortable with what you write. All the time you have to find your true self because you don't want to be a copy of someone else. You want to be original. And writing especially is so important to find your voice, to know about your style of writing. There is no right or wrong of a style of writing. Some people try to use colloquial a lot in their writing. Some people use third person. Some people use first sentence. So you have to be comfortable and choose your style of writing. But sometimes you have to consider, not sometimes, all the time, you have to consider your audiences. If your audience is children, you have to use a word and sentence that match with your audience, which are children. If you want to write for adults, you have to use those special words. If you want to you write your books for teenagers, young adults, you have to use certain words that match those criteria. Then, after you choose your style of writing, you can continue writing. But in order to find that, you can try. It's trial and error. Sometimes you write, and then when you read it again, you don't like it. You have to like what you write. Uh, I saw an interview with a musician. The somebody who interviewed the interviewee, that singer, he asked, "How do you choose your song? How do you satisfied with what you accomplished?" He answered like this. He answered, "I listen before publishing, before going it to public. I listen it over and over and over. When I'm not get tired of what I'm hearing, then I know people would listen to it." It's the same for writing. If you don't like what you write, so it's normally other people doesn't like it as well. So you have to like it. You have to be comfortable with what you wrote in the page. That's why I'm telling, find your voice, find your style, be original. But apart from that, you have to know why you write. I told explain in another video why we write. I always feel if you expect your creativity pay you a check, that is cruel. Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm not in agreement with Elizabeth at all. It's no, there is no problem. Receive check for your creativity. You create something and you should get paid for that. Why not? We can receive check for our creativity. But the point here is something else. If you write because of that check, the result is not very good. You don't have to write because of the money, but when you write, why not pay for that things that you wrote? Let's talk about different kind of writing. We have expository writing. This type of writing style is commonly found in textbook. The author provides factual information about a certain subject rather than voicing his or her opinion. So sometimes you don't need to find. Actually, I'm not totally agree with this either. I was reading from here. Even if you write something, you have to be in agreement with what you wrote. I know it's not your opinion. For example, when you write one biography for another person, you write life story of another person. Whatever he believes, whatever he or she spent her life or her life with, and you are writing about that. So you have to like that person. Why you write about that person in the first place? You have to love your style. You have to love the character. I'm not gonna write about Hitler. I'm not like about Hitler life story, because how can I write a story like this about Hitler? So expository writing is textbook. The author provides factual information about certain subjects. You can write about a scientific fact. There's no problem with that. But that scientific fact should be something that you believe, should be something that you accept. If I want to write about Big Bang Theory, so it doesn't match with my belief. So even there is science fact about Big Bang Theory, but I'm not gonna write it. Even science has not 100% truth in it. Uh, the other one is persuasive writing. The main purpose is persuade its audience about something. It includes opinion and a personal point of view of the other. Persuasive writing can be seen in editorial and opinion section of newspaper, reviews, book. If you read critics, film critics, it's author opinion about that film. That is some kind of writing. There is a style in that critic. You have to learn about that technique. And descriptive writing, it describes things such as characters, places, event, etc. It is an art of showing something through word. In these general categories, everything can come to one of these categories. For example, descriptive writing can be a novel. You describe an event in order to describe it to the reader. You can write a descriptive about another person, biography. Another person could be um, descriptive. Another one is narrative writing. Narrative writing is the purpose of narrative writing is to tell a story. A story could be a fictional story or a real story, biography, autobiography, or a novel. It comes to narrative writing. So a writing can be in different category at the same time. Creative writing, it's an art of making things up. Basically, any writing which originates from the imagination of one person who is the writer is called creative writing. Creative writers have something to say, they need to express themselves to writing. So, you see, in these different categories, if you pick a novel, it can be in 2 or 3 categories. If you pick a book, non-fiction book, it could be in 2 categories. So these are categories that we have for different writing. You have to find your style. You have to find your words. You have to find your uh, grammar. Everything that is important to writing a piece of writing. Then in this case, you can find your voice, you can be original. Then go ahead and write everything you want. I see you in next video.